We are alive. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BFF Podcast, episode 8. Today's going to be a very special guest because usually I've focused a lot around health and wellness, martial arts, the fighter mentality, and how to live life with this type of mentality. But today we're going to be intermixing a lot of what Canada specifically has become and how can we adapt using the right mindset, whether it's around financials, whether it's around how to prepare for the future that Canada has? And I'm coupled today with a successful entrepreneur who's also Ottawa, Canada based like me.
Ottawa.
And exactly, man, the capital. And as we're both from the same city, we're going to be discussing especially how Ottawa people can adapt, not just Canadian people. So, Chris Meneses, which is the owner of Bad Hombres YouTube channel, or how my Jamaican people say, a real bad man. So,
Real bad man.
a real bad man indeed. So, Chris, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. And I'm excited to get chatting with you guys and discussing the current state. Every time you do a podcast, it's sort of like a snapshot of the current reality. And as you get older, you go back in time and you're like, wow, I can't believe we were complaining about these things. We were talking about these things. And the most important thing is in a year from now that we're not complaining about the same things because that means that we didn't do any changes, made any actions.
Yes, man. True spoken words. And I wanted to give a few insights into the people who are watching. Basically, Chris and I, we have connected on Instagram, the powerful app for networking nowadays. And recently, I've decided to this basically try to reconnect with Chris ASAP, especially because of the videos that he's posting recently about the state of Canada, especially when he made a decision to prepare to leave Canada, just like I do. In the previous episode, guys, I've discussed that I'll be leaving Canada towards Southeast Asia to pursue my business ventures and improve the situation that I want to be in. So, Chris, before we get started, I just wanted to real quick, for the people who don't know you, can you give a bit of a background about who you are, what your specialty is, and how actually made you want, what made you actually want to come to Canada in the first place back in the days?
Yeah, I was born in Costa Rica in 36. Let me just turn off my phone. And I think in the 90s, early 2000s, I mean, since as long as I've been alive, up until this point, the North American dream, like the American dream, has always been the ultimate. That's where you want to go to make it happen. That's where you want to be, right? Especially if you have ambition and you want a better future for your family, right? So one of my aunts made that first move. She came to Canada, I think in 1996, 97, I can't remember. And then another aunt, and then my mom, and then my mom, of course, they brought us. And I was 15 when I came here. And that was really the only break that I've had in life where something was given to me, because after that, it was me that had to go and create my own opportunities. Nothing was ever given. But that was the beauty of the country, is that you only need one break. And back then, that one break is just to get here. Once you get here, and by the way, I think that's still true to today, is just we're not incentivizing it as much. But once you're here, to me, in my eyes, there's nothing that's unattainable. There's nothing that is unachievable. You look at any car that you want, you can make that work. You look at any house you want, any business, any watch. There are places in the world where that's really impossible. Like in India, it might be very hard. In Pakistan, in South America, some countries in some places, right? Like it's very hard to look at a Lamborghini and say, you know what, I can make that work. In Canada and the United States, you can. All you need is one good year to change your life. And to me, that was very clear from the beginning. To get to that one good year to change your life, it might take you 10 years of preparation, and or 15. but it's 100% possible here.
Powerful. And I actually resonate with that because my family and I, we left Israel. For context, that's where I'm from, if you guys were guessing, back in 2012 because of the conflict that was unfolding. Because it was always war over territory, religious wars, and it's been becoming kind of like a pain in the ass for my family and just for my circle. So we've decided in 2012 to pack our stuff and make the move towards a country where there was an actual light at the end of the tunnel. And Canada was the greatest option back in the days. And when we arrived, life was great. I would say from 2012 up until I would say 2020, I
Hmm.
was having a blast. I grew up here. I outgrew the time that I did in Israel and was able to get a college degree, open my business, do multiple fights in MMA, being coached by Canadian coaches.
Hmm.
I was able to create one of the best networks I've had so far for 25 years old. And it's unfortunate that we've come to this point where things are not so beneficial for you and I, especially, to keep staying and investing our energy in
Hmm.
this place we're living.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you this, Chris, because that's the original point that made me want to reach out. What was the moment you realized that staying in Canada might actually be riskier than leaving?
I probably say last year, when we lost the last election. I think I think that was a moment when I realized what the culture is and what is the overall sentiment of the Canadian population. That is assuming that the election was not rigged or fake, and they actually voted for another liberal administration. Then I thought, okay, well, this is not gonna go my way because every all the opportunities are still, yes, they're still available in Canada. The problem is that if you look at Canada like it's a country club or a business, and let's say to be in this business, or so let's just say it's like Good Life Fitness or a gym, a nice country club, right? And to be a member of this country club, you have to pay 20% of your income, and so you pay that, but everything works fine. You want to use the washroom, it's perfect. All the the structure of the business is working great. You're like, whatever, yeah, it's great. Like I pay 20% of my income, but the roads are fine, the hospitals are good, shit's fine. And they raised it and they raised it and they raised it to the point now where it's like 60%, because if they take 50% and then whatever you're left, you have to pay 13% on goods. So you're really only left with like 40% of your money. But then you look, okay, so now I'm paying this much to be for the membership for this country. But the last time I was at the hospital, I had to wait 16 hours for what, for a doctor. The last time I needed an MRI, I needed to wait 16 months. If there's no doctors taking patients, everything is walk-in clinics and Apple Tree, and nobody. I haven't had the same doctor in the last 5 visits. The roads are bad. If you drive in Quebec, there's all these potholes, and you have civilians filling up the potholes, and you're like, so wait a second, my membership to this place that is so great, which still is great and it still has the opportunity to make money. The problem is the membership had so much. And the reason, and they raised it not because they improved the country club and the services that it offers its citizens. What happened is they gave a bunch of people a free membership. And so all of those people that came to the country and got a free membership, well, you have to kind of pay for them too. And that is where the problem comes, because we only have a finite amount of resources and infrastructure here in Canada to accommodate us people. And if they're not working or if they're not qualified, then you get caught up paying for their life, right? So when you have somebody from Zimbabwe, whatever the fuck, that comes to Canada and they don't work and they have 6 kids, and for every child they get $500, $400, and they get a special halal diet, so they got more money, and they getting $7,000 a month. Meanwhile, our veterans are dying, and they're telling them to get medically assisted death if they're feeling a little sad. Then you're like, okay, well, I can't. Why would I pay this membership? Like if it was a business, it wouldn't make financial sense to be paying the membership for this place. Where can I go that is giving me all the good things without this crazy membership price, which is 50% of my income? Okay, well, I'm going to look at different places. When this country can justify, over $100,000 a year in taxes for my personal income, okay, well, then I'll pay it. Then I'll come back and I'll pay it. But I'm not going to pay it so that some girl with 7 kids from a third world country is going to live off the government, um, and I have to wait a year and a half to get an MRI and 16 hours at the hospital because when I was sparring, um, I I got put on a clinch and I slipped my disc and I couldn't move. So it's like I shouldn't have to wait that much, especially in Ottawa. Like I don't understand in Toronto, but so that's when I was like, all right, they're gonna lose me as a member. They're so greedy. Instead of saying, no, let's keep these people, the business people, the guys that are creating jobs, and we're gonna charge them 30%. Or no, we want to take half his money. So you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna take that money and go somewhere else. It's that simple. So my $100,000 a year that I was paying in taxes. That's not a membership that Canada will get anymore. Like, why would you pay to be here in the cold?
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? And guys, by no means, I'm not the political expert or expert on what situation of Canada is. For those types of questions, to know what actually truly is going on, Chris is the man.
I'm not. I just have a pattern recognition and common, and I have my eyes open.
Yes, and that's what truly is cool because you notice what's happening in the environment, and what's interesting, I would say the distinction between you and I is that you just pointed out what you saw that made you want to make a move to get out.
Mhm.
As for me, I try to live life through the martial artist world where you don't focus too much on the environment around you, like the arena, for example. I fought in arenas where
Mm.
there are 700 people shouting, kill him,
Wow.
strap of slag, like this type of stuff. And it's very super important that you just focus on the voice of your coach, which is giving you the
Mm.
insights and the tips. And this translated beautifully into life,
Mm.
entrepreneurship, and relationships in the first place. So I would say, compared to you, instead of looking at what Canada is becoming, I just spoke to so many people around me that either been through stuff or are trying to make moves in life. And the majority of the time, they were telling me goal orientated advice. Like, for
Mm.
example, I'm very close with Dan Bilzerian's network. I spoke with Dan Bilzerian 3 times for business advice, dating insights, and just the situation that's going on in the world.
Mhm.
And his network that I spoke to were all telling me for this year alone, you're going to focus specifically on making money.
Mhm.
Find ways to earn more money.
Mhm.
Find ways to improve your brand, improve yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck what's happening around you. YouTube
Yeah.
chill. And that's what I was focusing on. I try to mute the noise around me,
Right.
try to focus on the stuff that could be beneficial for my brand.
Yeah.
And funny enough, a few months later, I saw this clip by Andrew Tate on X, which is basically saying you have 12 months left until you get your shit together, money wise, life wise. And for some reason, it actually screamed in my head, I need to get out.
Mm.
Because not because I want to get out of the stuff that's going on here, but because I knew there's a playground and I knew there's a field somewhere out there which was beneficial for my aspirations.
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked a lot that Dubai was a great place for high level entrepreneurs to move to for many reasons.
Well, if you got to keep, let's just say last year, I don't know how much you paid in taxes, but what if you were in a place like Dubai where you didn't have that much of a tax bill, so you can reinvest that into your business? If you wanted to get an extra $60,000, let's say the average, I don't know, taxes last year was, I don't know, 50,000. You either move to a place that's not going to tax you that much, so you get to keep that money, so you can reinvest in your business, or you have to stay here, and that means you have to figure out how to make another 100,000 so you can keep 50. It's very hard to work twice as hard to keep half as much. Listen, you have to work twice as hard to keep twice as much. This is why when you're in Canada and you look at somebody in Texas, and you look, and your 700 $800,000 house in Canada is very small, and you only have one car, and you feel like up to here with debt and bills. Meanwhile, somebody in Texas with a $400,000 car house is a lot bigger. He has a nicer car. He has a lot more disposable income, and he's a lot happier, and it has less financial stress because he gets to keep more of his money. So the problem is, you want to make the money, yeah, but you also want to keep it, and you don't want to give half of it away. Like, to stay here, you have to work twice as hard to keep half as much, which is the what the driver is. Like, otherwise, Canada will be the greatest country in the world. Like, we have everything here. Like, yeah, it's cold, but in the summertime, it's amazing. It's beautiful, and it still is. It still is. But is it worth? Is it worth half your money? Is it worth for you to work from January until June, and all of that goes to the government? I don't think it is.
And true. And before we tackle actually the financial aspects of Canada and where the world is coming to in terms of finances, in terms of economics, I saw some of your videos before we started the stream, and you've actually talked about how Canadians stay in Canada because of emotional reasons
Yes.
rather than practical ones. So, what are the biggest emotional attachments that stop people from making a change when they know something isn't working?
I know people that wouldn't even go to Toronto from Ottawa. They just have their friends here. They have the kids have friends. Is Listen, immigration is very hard. We've done it at a very young age, and we've done it multiple times. I've done it 3 or 4 times in my life, right? From Costa Rica to Canada, from Toronto to Ottawa. I've lived in BC, and I'm going back to Costa Rica, and now I get it. But it's very hard. It's very hard to leave your friends. Very hard to. We are creatures of habit, so anything that disrupts the habits and the routine and the grocery store that you like and all of these things that you like is very hard. It's You have to grieve. You have to break up with your. It's a breakup. You're breaking up with your environment to the unknown because you don't know. I know that I will make it work where I'm going because I have evidence that I've made it work in the past whenever I went to a different environment. So I know how it works. But for somebody who's been in Canada, so you're going from living in a first world country where everything is really nice to a place that you don't know in, Southeast Asia or like South America, or like and maybe there's another language that you have to. You're an immigrant now for a lot of people, where and it's hard to cope with that, you know.
True.
And it's funny because a lot of people talk about assimilation, like, oh, these immigrants come here and they just want to turn, they don't assimilate, they don't. Nobody has, have you ever seen an American that assimilated? They or like they don't. They
America
don't.
first.
America first. They can go anywhere in the world. Nope, America. I'm an American. But you live in Mexico. I'm an expat. No, you're not an expat. You're an immigrant. But you want to call it expat to make yourself feel better? That's fine. Call yourself an expat.
Yeah, and I feel like with today's world, and I feel like that's how it made me feel more confident making this adaptation, not just because of my age and because of like I don't have much commitments to this country, but also because I look at people around me who are telling me they also want to leave but they can't because they have families, they have friends, they have a job that they need to come back to,
Yeah.
which even though they wanted to go get out, let's say to Thailand or to South America or to Africa or whatever, they cannot actually do it properly.
Yeah.
So they'll need to do a lot of steps, a lot of action steps before they could actually get to where they want.
Yes.
So by being a Canadian, obviously you have one of the best tools, which is the Canadian passport. You earn Canadian dollars, right? If you can take those specific tools, you're already winning. And we'll definitely cover the money aspect, right? And this is because the audience wanted us to cover that specifically, money.
Sure.
So you've said in your videos, follow the money
Follow the money.
many times. So for someone in their, let's say, mid 20s, mid 30s, who's fit enough to work, to hustle, has basic aspirations, but they're living in an environment which actually puts them into shit. So for those people specifically who feel stuck right now, what does follow the money actually mean?
It's about setting up your skill set. So stacking up as much skills as you can. There is a whole generation now of entrepreneurs and legacy business owners that are not going to have the time to learn the new tools that are coming up. And so you have to be there to be the person that bridges that gap, because they have that business and the business has a product or service, but here comes this thing called AI that is a whole new department. It's a whole new beast. It has new job positions than ever. They're just getting, just now they started to get caught up with social media. So businesses started to, hire a social media manager, and they finally got into that. And as soon as they did that, boom, here comes another curveball that you have to learn. It's like, well, my expertise is just to lay concrete on the ground. Now I have to learn AI and integrations and chatbots and 24/7 and speed to lead and all of these things. Well, you don't really have to learn that if you hire somebody. And so, well, the beautiful thing about the AIs and things that are happening is that you can learn for free. So you learn for free, and then you start to pay attention to who needs what. The easiest place to start is the place that you're already in. Like the rule number one of entrepreneurship is use what you got. If you're at a gym, get into that space. You got Alex Hormozy that made hundreds of millions from parachuting out of the fitness industry. You got Grant Cardone made $1 billion, and he came out of the automotive industry. And there's people that came out of selling insurance and selling homes and selling solar and selling all kinds of stuff, right? So where do you work right now? Unless it's like some corporate job, you work at Tim Hortons or whatever, you really can't do much there. But if you're working for an entrepreneur already, that is the place to start. That is the place to start.
I totally agree with you when you say use what you got. One thing that Canada did help me do, especially Ottawa, when I moved to Ottawa for 4 years, and by the way, I'm back in Montreal before I leave to Southeast Asia. So Ottawa allowed me to realize when I came in there as a college student originally, wanting to start my career as a police officer to make money so then I could open my martial arts school. I realized because I was getting the demand from the students around me that they want to learn from me and they were ready to pay me so I can teach them, I say, okay, I got the skills, I got the environment, right? I got the students, I got the mats, I got the school gym. Why not start now? Why do I need to wait 10, 20 years until I could invest some money for rent and then start my school,
Yeah.
drop flyers? Hey, do you want to come for a free trial? And then they'll say, let me think about it. Why not start now and get these experiences now, right?
Yeah.
And this is beautiful. In Canada, in some way, shape, or form, maybe it's in America, it still allowed me to start that. And I'm sure Canada did the same effect to you when you were getting into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
But since we're talking about in a place where there's a lot of distractions, you mentioned AI, Right now, the social media is full of AI videos, kittens playing, how can you slice the moon in half and whatnot, especially with the millennials who are getting distracted by that
Yeah.
very, very much. Besides AI skills and maybe getting into the AI world to make sure you can make some money of that, or at least with what you have, we've talked about money as individuals. A
Yeah.
lot of these decisions are happening because the environment is changing.
Mhm.
But about Canada's future, what concerns you the most about Canada's future in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the supply and demand of employment, because you see, last, I don't know, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, between outsourcing and automation, we had an oversupply. I think it was 140% of ways of getting things done, which means, we didn't need as many employees because we had automation and outsourcing. Now with AI, it's a lot more. It's like double that, right? My concern, I think, to answer your question about what concerns me, is not so much the AI. Listen, we talked about this at the very beginning. We're very adaptable. We're already, like, we're super adaptable. We're gonna make AI work. AI is just like Internet 2.0. It's just like, it's a thing that is here to stay. You can't survive if you don't know the internet. In the future, you're not gonna be able to survive if you don't know AI. But my concern is that people just give up on life. They give up. They just quit. And I think that is something that most men are quitting. I don't see a lot of women quitting. I think women are more money hungry and money driven, and they are making it work now. I think more than men. And so my concern is that men get discouraged, and they don't make it work, and they just completely check out of the environment, of the capitalistic world that we live in. And as a man, it's like you have to create the opportunities for yourself. And what is one of the most valuable skills to have in the world is communication. And as AI becomes more regular and more normal, real humans are going to be the expensive thing, the rare, a well-spoken person, like a real person, a real human. That's what's going to be rare. And if you become that person, or you're going to be an item that is high value, because it's supply and demand. There's not going to be many people like you. You know what I mean? Are you worried about men quitting and checking out?
And that's a great question. It actually ties to part of becoming a mentor, part of becoming somebody who people look up to and come for advice. Because that's I've I've gone through 70 students plus who came to me asking for any sort of advice, whether it be for fitness, mental wellness, um, martial arts, self defense, even relationships. And I realized that, and even my coach says it now, which is funny, not everybody is deserving the knowledge that you have. So you got to be very picky on who actually deserves to hear what you have to say, what you have to teach them. And for those who don't want to listen or don't want to take action despite you trying to help them, it's not that you need to kind of like put them below you, but you generally want to wish them the best in life because that's true. I wish anybody in this world to live a good life and have the best happen to them, unless you're an evil person. But if you're not ready to take action, and if you're actually going to focus on vices and actions that are going to be negative to your life, then you deserve the negative stuff that is going to happen to you as much as you deserve the positive stuff that's going to happen to you if you take the right actionable steps.
Hmm.
So the Canadian guys, the Ottawa guys that I've talked to, yes, talking to you, yes, maybe at the moment you decide to go to Byward Market, get drunk, fight someone over some girl who give you a fake phone number. Happens. So that happened when I was a bouncer. But guess what? 10 years from now, you're going to sit down, looking back, saying, "Am I actually proud that I spent my 20s and 30s just wasting my life in liquor and drugs, hard drugs, matter of fact, just so that I sit here with nothing worth showing to people, nothing to teach people, nothing to leave behind as legacy? Do you actually want that?" Ask yourself this. And if the answer is actually, hey, I want to make sure that I make the most out of my life, I want to make sure that I leave a legacy in some way, shape, or form. Could be having a family, could be running for Congress, like some people do. I want to make sure that you actually get what you want and you take actions towards getting what you want. So there is hope for the Canadians, but it's going to be a very small minority. Those who actually are open minded, those are actually coachable for business, martial arts, fitness, right? Dating, because 90% of your happiness comes from dating or your relationships, how Tony Robbins used to say.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess, do you have something to add on that?
Well, I think we talked about being adaptable and being able to adapt to the environment. So a lot of people adapt to the misery and they just this is what they like. You know what I mean? They adapt to the going to the market and getting drunk, and that's what they want to do. Right. So it's not about wanting to do more. It's about, okay, are you going to let this vice control you? You know, are you going to let this take over? If you're happy with the way that that is, that's fine. You're not really allowed to complain, right? Like everybody has the same 24 hours every day. You know, we get up in one leg, put our pants one leg at a time, kind of thing. So I think you just can't let your vices control your actions in your environment. And I think a lot of that has to do with the people you surround yourself with. And that is one thing that you need to work on. If you find that, fuck man, last month all I did was just getting shit faced and stuff, and all the guys I hang out with, it's just, you know, I look at the last five people on my WhatsApp and it's all millionaires. I'm the brokest. You know, it's funny. So my friends in business, I have the least amount of money. My friends in at the gym are in so much way better shape than I am, and my friends in fighting are so much better fighter than me. You know what I mean? But that just means that I'm always punching up. Like I'm not the best fighter of my friends. I'm like the least, you know, and I'm the least wealthy guy of all my of the business people. You know, yeah, maybe I have more money than some fighters. Maybe I can fight better than some of the entrepreneurs. You know, but that just makes my average on everything go higher because I'm always, and I made that decision. And not that my friends are were losers in the past. My friends are great, but there are friends that are, you know, sometimes they're good to like go and watch the soccer game with and have a beer and talk. But do I really want to see them every day? No, I'll see them every few months. It's my mission comes first, and I have a why, and I have a chip on my shoulder. And I think every man needs a chip on his shoulder. Every man needs to have something that pushes them, whether it's people that you want to prove wrong, whether it's your parents that you want to prove them wrong, whether it's something happened that sparked a light inside of you. But a lot of people, they don't have that, man. And I think I like fighting gives you that because we have ego as men. And so like you know, the fighting you leave your ego at the door or you get checked. You get, somebody will humble you and it drives you to keep going. And so that mindset applies in business. If you start with either fitness or martial arts at a young age, man, you develop such a good habits for the rest of your life. I have ADHD, bro. I just go all over the place. Whatever disease, whatever problem Kanye West has, I have it. I have the same condition.
Kayan, for watching. This is your duplicate. Maybe you should do a podcast together.
except for the talent and the music, but everything, the craziness, yeah.
Definitely. And that's actually what's interesting because we are talking about what Canada is becoming. What actionable steps can they do? We talked already about stuff like fitness, stuff like getting into martial arts, which is obviously
Work on your communication, dude. Like communications, okay, communication is the number one skill, the highest paid skill in the whole world. Is communications up there. Politicians, doctors, politicians, actors, entrepreneurs. The highest paid people in the world are people that communicate very, very well. In Southeast Asia, whatever you're going, take anybody from any university degree, doctor, lawyer that doesn't speak English, and somebody who is a master communicator and is not a doctor, is not a lawyer, but can communicate well, that communicator could probably make more money than any other person that has any university degree in a different language. Because English is the number one language in the commercial world. And if you become a good communicator where you can persuade, you can express yourself, command an audience, you'll always be able to make money.
that's deep, bro. That's deep. Now, I really need to know that because you talked about AI disruption as being one of the topics you specialize in, specifically around the disruption part, because one of the biggest forces changing the world right now is AI. We already talked about it many times, but how much of what we're actually discussing currently in this podcast is being accelerated by AI?
Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Like, what role do you think AI is going to play in the future of making money, especially for young
It's
Canadians?
it's gonna be in our lives just like the internet. You know, if you, I don't know, when did the internet become really mainstream? I don't know, 98, 99, early 2000s maybe, right? We had MySpace, Facebook, they started to pop off. And if you didn't embrace and adapt to the internet, like, look, man, if you don't have internet today, how can you make money? Like, if you don't know how to use the internet today, well, in fact, like, that's how it's going to be with AI. Like, it's here. And just like you have to use the internet for everything, for banking, for your socials, for your phone communication, literally every part of your life, it's going to be like that with AI. So you have to embrace that, because in the future you may not, your job might be to watch the AI on doing something, or having AI doing 90% of something and then you do the last 10%, right? So it's part of it. The beautiful thing is that we're growing with it. Like, for example, people that grew up with the internet versus the people that didn't, all the older people tell you, oh, you know, the internet, can you help me with my website for my business? Like, when the internet started coming out, people could learn how to write HTML and make websites, and that was an opportunity to get a business owner be like, hey, I'll make your website for you. And you can still do that today, right? Social media is fairly new. 5 years ago, even today, you can go to a business and be like, I'm really good at Facebook, I'm really good at Instagram, I can handle your social media. Okay, great. AI is a lot faster. So in a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm really good with AI. I can handle your AI. I can have the AI customer service chatbot in your website built and make sure it makes no mistakes and is always up to date with your hours and whatever products and services, and it talks to your inventory and it checks availability and it books the appointments. And if somebody calls in sick, it can call the next person and hire and fire and whatever it is, right? So it's here to stay. We have to embrace it. Is it overrated? Yes, 100%. It's not. You know, I've seen. Sorry, bro. I talk too much.
It's okay,
I
bro.
can stop, man.
By all means.
Okay, so I saw I was very young, not young, but like I wasn't in an age where I could appreciate the impact in the market when the internet started to come out, because I was just, it's just like hanging out with my friends, whatever. So I couldn't care about Google Ads in 1999 and 2003 or whatever, right? But I saw three things. So I saw the internet coming in, the websites. Then I saw the apps. Like when apps came, and I remember like early 2000s, maybe early 2010s, apps on your phone was a big thing. Everything was, there's an app for that. Remember that campaign? There's an app for that. There's an app for that. uh they used to like make commercials, and every phone, everything was about the apps. What kind of apps do you have on your phone? You have an app that like you could speak to and it translates it, the language, and then you have an app that you could check your heart rate. So you can do banking on your phone through an app. That was a thing. And it lasted what, like the novelty of that lasted what, 3 years, and it's like, "Ah, it's just an app." Now I tell you, yo, I made an app, there's an app you're like, you're not shocked if I tell you a crazy thing right now, and I tell you, oh yeah, there is an app for that. You're not going to be surprised because we're so used to it. In with the AI, that is the next thing. So like, we don't know what we don't know in terms of how that's going to evolve in our everyday life. But I feel like, yes, it's as worse, it's as bad as it would ever be, because it can only get better. But at the same time, it's not. I remember they said apps was the future. Like with an app on your phone, you're gonna get your dog and be able to tell your dog, "Hey, how are you?" and your dog can talk to you. It's like, no, bro. Like it's just. But AI. Listen, bro. Like I think the cure for cancer and the cure for AIDS and all that stuff is gonna come with AI. I 100% believe it. You know what I mean? But we get these technologies, and it's, first of all, they get extremely overrated, oversold. Then greed happens, and everybody wants to make money. Greedy people are fucked. We had nuclear energy, and instead of we had nuclear power, and instead of building nuclear energy, we build a nuclear bomb, because we're just so negative. Human beings are just so fucked up. Instead of having crazy energy for the world, no, we made bombs. So with AI, what the fuck are they going to build? The only reason why they're building all this AI stuff is because they don't want China to do it first, right? But there is a lot of opportunity, and the beautiful thing about it is that it's you can teach yourself by using it. You know.
Dude, you said that you like to talk, but you actually spread more facts and more facts and more actionable items that people need to take action on. And,
Yeah.
you know, some people have those short attention spans, like the millennials that might be watching this now and trying to take notes. So I wanted to make this specific set of lessons you just dropped more compact. And let me tell you how we're going to do this. It's more like a challenge. So imagine right now we're talking about Canada, what Canada has become, and we're trying to take actions to make sure we improve our current situation, physically, mentally, financially, geographically speaking, sometimes. So let's put ourselves on this scenario. So Canada and the situation it's a fight now. Let's say a boxing match. You're the coach, the corner
Mm.
man. You're a fighter, which is the student that's watching you right now. He's preparing for the next round. He's been beating up. He's swollen. You're taking care of him. What would you tell him to focus on right now?
That's a good analogy. So walk me through it. So I'm the coach, and I'm coaching Canada.
You're coaching a student who's getting beat up by the state that Canada has become.
Okay.
But you have 1 minute to patch him up before the next round starts, man. Because the opponent is not gonna give him any mercy, as we know.
Throw the towel, bro.
End stream. Just kidding.
Okay, that's a good question. Let me think. Hold on. So I'm the boxing coach. I got this guy. He's fighting the current state of Canada, and he has to fight the next round because I guess he can't leave. So he has to fight. I think okay. You know what it is? I think the next round is based on the current state of Canada because Canada is throwing everything at you. So you just have to survive this round. Just defense, get out of the way, work it. It's not the time to attack, man. Like you can't really go heavy right now. Their attack is a lot stronger. Like the young men today, what Canada's throwing at them, it's very hard. You will win the fight, and it's just but like what I mean by okay, so what I mean by this round, if you throw a right hook and that right hook could be a student loan to go to college, that could fuck you up because if you take that student loan, it might not work in your favor, kind of thing, right? So it's like it's more of like you're playing defense and try to read it, you know, because I tell you with your analogy, it means because Canada is being coached by the prime minister. So they say I'm in the corner here with this fighter, and I know that we have an election in Canada, and if the other prime minister wins, that coach goes away, so we get a different coach. I would say, you know what, try and survive these rounds. When this coach finishes, you might be able to attack and win. What that means is like when Carney goes away, and we have maybe a conservative leader, if that ever happens, that is a little bit more towards capitalism and business and entrepreneurship, it might be better for you to attack. Mm, I was fighting the fight, and a lot of people are criticizing me because I'm a quitter because I'm leaving Canada. But I was like, no, man, look, I fought it, and when we had the lockdown, I was very against it, and I fought it, and I thought we were gonna do better. But like just like you asked me, what was the motivation for me to say fuck this? Is when they elected the same thing that got us here. They voted for that. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get out of the fight, take a break, come back stronger when there's a new coach. I don't know. See what I mean? I just go in places. It's gonna be very hard to win this round, bro. Unless you're like Popeyes and you give them spinach and and he gets really really big. Like, what would you tell the fighter?
Great question. And I'm actually, first of all, glad that you answered the way you answered, because you did come with the standpoint of it's going to be a hard fight, super hard. The opponent is super prepared. And, there's a big chance that, I wouldn't say there's a big chance of loss, but it's a very big opponent and it's going to be hard. And that when you tried, let's say, to switch to Costa Rica, people were calling you, let's say, all negative stuff. But from my perspective, people around me that heard what was my next move to Southeast Asia, specifically to Southeast Asia, because of the aspirations I have, because of the martial arts culture, because of the strong entrepreneur network that's in there, because literally people are putting their money to build places like Bangkok, Singapore. It's crazy. They also 98% of my circle supported my decision because they knew who I am, they knew what I want to achieve, they saw the actions I was doing to achieve those things, and I already have lots of results to back me up, like testimonials, money earned, blah blah blah, and lives changed most importantly. So now I come into this round, my fighter, from a perspective of not you're going to win in the end, because not that's not something that's always realistic. Especially, let's say, if it's a boxing match of 12 rounds and you've been getting your ass whooped for 13 rounds. There's zero chances that you're going to, well, unless you win by knockout or by stoppage. But let's say if it goes the distance, judge's decision, you're not going to win the fight, even if you win the last round.
Mm,
So I
mm,
want the fighter to come in from this perspective of the art of dying, which Bruce Lee talks about. And it is, yes, you know who you are. Yes, you know you've been getting your ass whipped, but now is your chance to prove who you really are as a person. So even if, towards the end of the round, you're not going to win, you gave all you got, maybe you weren't meant to win that, maybe you were not meant to win a lot of money, maybe you were not meant to live till 100 years old. Maybe I'm going to die tomorrow of a heart attack, God forbid, but it's a possibility, right? So I might as well make the most out of this round, work on my finances, work on my fitness, work on my relationships, work on my communication skills over this stuff that I have full control over, which is myself.
Yeah.
And whether if I win or lose, it doesn't fucking matter. Because guess what? I knew what I wanted in this life. And I guess that's what the most important is for any people living in any country who's going through shit. You want to focus on yourself first so you can help your people around you later.
No, it's a good way of looking at it, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah. So as we're coming to an end, Chris, what type of services are you offering to the people watching right now, and where can they find you?
Thanks, man. This was a great talk. And before we get to like what I do,
Mm.
you know, to that fight analogy, it's like prepare, man. Work on your communication skills. That's probably the biggest skill, and your it's skill stacking. It's the best thing you can do at the moment. And don't check out of the marketplace. Like we are fucking men. We build this shit. So quitting is not really an option. Checking out of the market is not an option. And if you're in a position where you made it work, like I'm making it work, I vouch for human capital. I vouch for like human people to work with me. So I create the opportunities because God gave me the resources to be a man who can create opportunities. And so when I say that I have employees in my company, I take that very seriously because they have families, they have kids, they have husbands and wives, and they have a mortgage and all that. So, so if you're not in that position yet, try to create that position, that opportunity. And if you are in that position, it's our job to create the opportunities for people that don't have the hunger or maybe they don't have the capabilities to get into the entrepreneurship world, because we cannot sit here and think that everybody's built the same. Some people want to be led, some people want to be employees, some people want to look at their boss and be like, we're having a slow month, what are you going to do about it? And I got to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, what are we going to do about it? We have a slow fucking month. I can't look at my employee and be like, can we figure this shit out? No, I made it work. But as the boss, I get compensated handsomely for figuring this shit out. So what I work in the automotive space. So dealerships for the longest time, um, the business model of a dealership is you buy cars for a lower price and you sell them at a profit. So the business model came from buying inventory and selling the inventory. Everything else in between is all relatively new, like technology, automation, marketing. They didn't know. Like back then when dealerships started, it was the yellow pages, this and that and the other. So what I do is I help dealerships with the data handling, lead management, sales, data reactivation, make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. For example, have you ever noticed if you inquired at a dealership, maybe they get back to you the next day, maybe they don't. Maybe if you call them, the salesperson sounds like he doesn't want to talk to you. So I install high quality salespeople at dealerships, appointment setters, and and I use also AI and automation to make sure that there's no leads that are falling through the cracks. So that's what I do. And the company is called Devo, DEVVO.io. Stands for Dealer Evolution. We have 30 employees, 30 SDRs. Actually, no, we have a little bit less. but we have 30 employees in total because some of them are just in administration and tech as well. But that is just an industry that needed to be disrupted. It's a very old, and I was a car salesman. So, like I said, use what you got. I knew how to sell cars. How can I do this at scale? How can I use AI? How can I use outsourcing? How can I use all these things? And I started working with dealerships, and I started making them a lot of money. I started maximizing their profits, and that's what I do now.
Awesome, awesome, very good industry. And if guys want to reach out to you, obviously you have Instagram, you have the website, which I'm going obviously to drop in the link. I'm going to drop the link below, but just in case they want to reach out to you, can you just say what you're at? Your
My handle is badhombres.tv on Instagram. And if you just on YouTube type Bad Hombres podcast, you get to see my videos that only get 10 views right now.
10 views, but those are 10 views. Like, see, that
See,
made
I know.
us connect.
Five of them came from him, from Jonathan. My brother's name, Jonathan.
That's crazy, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to drop Chris's Instagram handles and website in the description. So guys, if you want to reach out to him, definitely recommend. He's a cool guy. Knows a lot about especially what Canada is becoming. So even if you're not interested in the services, definitely a good person to connect with, especially if you're in the Ontario area or even lived in BC. Now, for those who are watching right now, as you know, I'm about to head out to Southeast Asia in 13 days from now. Well, actually, Australia first because I was nominated for a public speaking award. So I'm going to Melbourne, Australia for a couple of days, and then Vietnam for 1 month, and then the ultimate goal will be Thailand. So subscribe to the channel, and I'll be also posting vlogs of me traveling around Asia, exploring different martial arts gyms, cultures, coaches, health and wellness experts, which you'll find very interesting to hear talk. And obviously, since I paused my in person training sessions for now due to me moving out of Canada, you can now visit bananafighterfit.com where I sell some really good health and wellness supplements. One of them is the Fireblood. Fireblood is the daily essentials that every man needs, all the multivitamins, all the multi-minerals and amino acids to keep you going throughout the day. One scoop is all you need. You will save at least a third of all the supplements you'll be buying at your Popeyes store or whatever. So I'll drop the link in the description. Same thing for the bananafighterfit.com store. So that will be concluding the episode for today. Guys, thank you very much for showing up as always. I hope that you take at least one key lesson from the stream. That's the most important thing. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to Chris because, Chris, you dropped a lot of facts today, a lot of valuable
So,
insights. I appreciate that.
thank you guys.
All right, we'll be having the stream, guys, and until next time.